Namo Siddhaswarupananda, Paramahamsa Namine, Gora Karuna Swarupaya, Radha Krishna Prastayate.
Namo Siddhaswarupananda, Paramahamsa Namine, Gora Karuna Swarupaya, Radha Krishna Prastayate.
Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Caitanya, Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Caitanya.
Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Caitanya, Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Caitanya.
Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhara, Shri Vasudeva Gaur Bhaktavrinda.
Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhara, Shri Vasudeva Gaur Bhaktavrinda.
Gopala Govinda
Hari
Rama,
Bol Krishna,
Madana Mohana,
Hari Bol Krishna,
Gopala Govinda Rama,
Hari Bol Krishna,
Madana Mohana.
Gopala Govinda Rama,
Hari Bol, everybody sing now.
Madana
Nitai Gaur, Gauranga, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol.
Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana.
Gopala Govinda Rama,
Hari Bol Krishna,
Madana Mohana,
Hari Bol Krishna,
Gopala Govinda Rama,
Hari Bol Krishna,
Madana Mohana.
Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana, Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana.
Gopala Govinda Rama,
Hari Bol Krishna,
Madana
Hari Bol
Mohana,
Krishna,
Gopala Govinda Rama,
Hari Bol Krishna,
Madana Mohana.
Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana, Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana.
Gopala Govinda Rama,
Hari Bol Krishna,
Madana
Hari
Mohana,
Bol Krishna,
Gopala Govinda Rama,
Hari Bol Krishna,
Madana Mohana.
Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana, Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana.
Gopala Govinda Rama,
Hari Bol Krishna,
Madana Mohana,
Hari Bol Krishna,
Gopala Govinda Rama,
Hari Bol Krishna,
Madana Mohana. Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur.
Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana, Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana.
Gopala Govinda Rama,
Hari Bol Krishna,
Madana Mohana, Gopala Govinda Rama,
Hari Bol Krishna,
Madana Mohana.
Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana, Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana.
Gopala Govinda Rama,
Hari Bol Krishna,
Madana Mohana,
Hari Bol Krishna,
Gopala Govinda Rama, Prabhupada,
Krishna,
Jaya Jaya Gurudev.
Jaya Jaya Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Gurudev,
Jaya Jaya Siddhaswarupananda,
Hari Go Krishna,
Ananda
Hari Go
Paramahamsa.
Krishna,
Jaya Jaya Siddhaswarupananda,
Hari Go Krishna,
Ananda Paramahamsa.
Jaya Jaya Siddhaswarupananda, Paramahamsa, Jaya Jaya Siddhaswarupananda, Paramahamsa.
Namo Siddhaswarupananda, Paramahamsa Namaste. Gora Karuna Swarupaya, Radha Krishna Prestaya Te.
Namo Siddhaswarupananda, Paramahamsa Namaste, Ora Karuna Swarupaya, Radha Krishna Prestaya Te.
To be able to understand devotional service, one must approach and listen from bona fide authorities. And it's stated that the bona fide authority is the pure loving servant of God, the bona fide spiritual master. So in the teachings of Rupa Goswami, association is very important. Association. It is about an exposure to someone who can influence us or we influence him. So the advice is that we must associate with the confidential, loving service, servant of the Supreme Person who are engaged in pure devotional service. So I'll read here something that will at least points to our situation, all of us. We are always discussing about the fallen soul. So the living entity, us, who are in this material world, our awareness is covered or to a certain degree influenced by the three modes of material nature. So if you look closely, can you get that, please? Yeah, that picture, frame, okay? Di, lagay mo lang di sa tabi. Earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego. These are all what comprise the material energy. Okay? Material. So, the living entity, us, who is in this body, covered by matter, we're covered by different elements. The gross element, the water, the air, the fire, the ether, the mind, the subtle body, and the intelligence, and the false ego. So the living entity, us, we move or engage in activities according to the influence of material nature and our awareness of who we are. Now, if you identify yourself as the body, then there's a problem because we are a different energy from matter. And if you look closely, I'll just talk in vernacular mamaya. If you look closely, the living entity who comes in contact with matter is now covered by material energy. So if you look, if you try to see your situation, our situation, we're all blind. We're covered by this material energy. And due to the influence of material nature, we're in a disease condition. And what is the disease condition? We identify ourselves as this body. So it's like this. When the living entity comes to this material world, this universe, when I say world, kasi there's this world, you're in this world, your body is a certain, like a planet. But we're discussing here about the living entity, you coming in contact with matter. You get covered. You are blinded by a force greater than you. And that force is a misdirection of our longing for happiness. So the more we think, what do they usually tell us? Okay, if there's problem, set aside the problem and move forward. Move forward. Okay, that's what they're saying always. Okay, whatever experience you did experience is already past. You must move forward with your life. But the problem, if you're not aware of who you are, instead of moving forward, what is happening? You're just sinking and sinking and sinking in this quagmire or in this quicksand covered by the material energy. And you are blinded and you will experience all the suffering and pain that you will be aware in coming in contact through this material energy whom you identify. For example, you identify yourself as the body. So naturally, when you identify yourself as the body, what will happen is that you will be also identifying with the pain. Okay? The diseases, the body getting old. Okay? When we discuss about the body getting old, it's not just the skin that's getting old. The body degenerate because the molecules and atoms are being transformed into different form through metabolism and the waste matter that is being replenished by new matter, actually same matter, through metabolism. So what will happen is that you get so much immersed in this material world and you are now lost because you're blind already, and then your exposure, your association, your attachment is about this material world. Remember during the Second World War, there was a time that the atomic bomb was dropped in Nagasaki and Hiroshima. So that atomic bomb has radioactive effect. So when it was dropped, what happened? The whole city was flattened, and those who were exposed to this radioactive influence of this atomic bomb, their body, they experienced this degeneration of the body. Their body shrunk, and the body got burned because of association through the exposure of this toxic radioactive material that was dropped upon their country. During the time, way back, there's this Chernobyl, also there's this nuclear power plant that melted down, Chernobyl. So what happened? All the people there, the scientists, they all perished because of the toxic radioactive contamination that destroyed their body. It destroys your body. Okay. And when we were studying about the effect of radioactive, it will take thousands and thousands of years before it's gone. So what happened in Chernobyl was all those people there who came to assist those who were exposed to this toxic radioactive material, they also died. Those soldiers who came there to help. So if you study and see history, you look what they have done in that place. So they cemented the whole place, cemented it. So to be able to see what's happening there, because there's a lot of infrastructure there, buildings, they use this detector to see if there's radioactive influence in the environment. So, when the living entity comes to this world, what happens is that this toxic, very influential material nature contaminates you. So, the advice of Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami is that we must have good association, not with those who are toxic, meaning materialistic person, who are driven by lust. Because when one is driven by lust, that person is very angry. Blinded already, covered, lost already, and nowhere to go. And his world or her world is just the mind. Okay? Now, the mind is made of matter, and the experience you did experience is about this material world since time immemorial. And because what we're discussing here is about the transcendental nature of the spirit soul, you are a different energy from matter. And then if your meditation is contaminated by this toxic influence of material nature, the disease of materialism, then it will be very hard for you to enter into a dimension or in meditation upon a transcendental world that is not touched by matter, no material element. It's about life. It's about the world that is transcendental, and that is the world of the Supreme Person, Vaikuntha. So, the process that we have been exposed here is the association of the pure, loving servant of God. So, from hearing from them, we can now distinguish whom to associate. Because if you're blind and you're drowning, you're already blind, you're drowning, nowhere to go. You're a gunner. You know what's a gunner? You're dead. Because you're a living dead. Because your focus is upon this world, then naturally, you're an empty person. An empty-hearted person. And because you're blinded, you cannot see that the activities you're engaging in will inflict pain upon you, because that pain is about the covering of material energy, the influence of the three modes of material nature, and especially if it's about the influence of passion, then your senses are agitated, you're burning with lust, and you try to direct your happiness towards this dead world. So everybody's like that. But we must be aware of our situation. You, the spirit soul, you're already blind, you're already covered, you're covered by this material energy. Even now, although by nature you are superior to matter, I can use this microphone, I can move it, I can move my hand, but my body is made out of material elements. The skin, the gross matter, the eyes, which has water, 80% of this body is made out of water. So if I use this energy, material energy, and try to focus my life into trying to find fulfillment, then I will experience failure, dead end, wala. Because it's a different world. It's not the world of life. And then you become frustrated, you become angry. And then what will happen is that you're not able to see someone who cares for you. You're not able to see what is really affection and love that is sweet, because you try to move forward driven by lust. And when one is very lusty, one becomes frustrated. And one becomes frustrated, one becomes angry and loses her intelligence. So it is very important that the advice of the saintly person is to have good association. So if you associate with those who are contaminated, materialistic individuals whose life is toxic, it's not like we're so sanctimonious feeling, oh, you're sinful, we are holy. No, it's not like that. It is for our benefit. We should be aware what will help us be in a transcendental consciousness connected with what is inseparable from us. It is our loving relationship with God. So it's not about joining, it's not about anything in this world. So the person who is so much engrossed will resist. Okay? The more you resist, meaning you're not able to experience shelter from the Supreme Person. Meaning protection. Because you're on your own. Because you don't know how to relate to God. You become arrogant. You become hard-hearted. And that is the reason also individuals who are so much immersed in sensual enjoyment don't want to hear the truth because it destroys their kingdom or their so-called supposedly foundation for their happiness. Okay? For example, you understand your identity, you understand you're not the body, but that is not enough. You must be connected with what you are eternally connected and should be connected with. The natural tendency to surrender and experience a loving reciprocation with God. So it comes through the disciplic succession. The friend of God, our Gurudev, who is the confidential loving servant, the spiritual master, introduces us to Krishna. Introduces us to Krishna. When we discuss or talk about God, He is a person, the cause of all causes, and His world is a world of transcendental happiness. He's the supreme enjoyer. So, the enjoyment of the Supreme Person, the happiness of the Supreme Person is not about this world. So this world is a perversion of what is real love. When you speak about love here, either based upon bodily identification, it's a perversion of what is real love. Just like individuals, they talk about, I love you, okay? I love you. But you look closely if that love is really lust or contaminated or pure. So what is purity then? Purity means when one is aware about his true transcendental nature and activities guided by the desire, the pleasure of God, the happiness of the spiritual master to see us experiencing this connection of surrender and comfort and experiencing the sweetness of God's love, His compassion. So what happens to a person when he's so much engrossed? He thinks he got something or she got something. She has something to protect. So the relationship that she sees or engages in, activities she does every day is centered around the world of unhappiness. So the science that descends coming from God is a different process from what we did experience through our sensual enjoyment, the conditioning. Because it's about this dead world. It's about the tell us, look up, young man, and move forward. But the more we move forward, the more we sink. We get covered. We are not able to taste this loving relationship. So there is a process that is given to us by our spiritual master, by Lord Chaitanya. That's why in this age of Kali Yuga, the prime benediction for humanity at large is the chanting of the holy names. The Harinama, chanting of the holy names. Because what we're longing for, it is addressed. And that longing for is a connection with a loving relationship in purity with the Supreme Person. We're not alone now. In the material world, we play Lord and we are alone. That's why we experience all the pain and suffering. Because we are under the laws of material nature. Whatever activities you do or engage in, there is a corresponding reaction. So, you look closely what separates you from tasting the sweetness of an experience wherein the soul, you, the person, can experience comfort and shelter that you're longing, not from what you think that will pacify the mind. Kasi the mind is not real. The desires are not real. is matter, subtle. You are distinct from the subtle energy. So when you chant the holy names, the first effect is that you realize, you become aware of your true identity. You're able to realize how you are so much covered. That's why when we discuss about the suffering of the living entity, for a person who has been so much covered by material nature, he's callous, or alam niyo callous? Kublon na ba? Na he's so callous that he cannot appreciate that he's suffering. To be born, not just now. You'll be here since time immemorial. You were put into different bodies, not human form, according to your consciousness at the time you leave the body. So those individuals who misuse their human form and live like an animal, then you don't need a human form. You will be put through nature's arrangement in lower species of life. So this is what I like to discuss to you, all of you here, about Lord Chaitanya's mission. This is the desire of the spiritual master, his heart's desire, because he sees us as divine children of Lord Krishna, and now we are so much attached to the label of this body. We think, I'm this body, I'm a woman, I'm a human being. You're not a human being. Okay? You're an alien to this body. You're in a different environment. And we are all in the environment of birth, death, disease, and knowledge. This material world. And it's discussed, the example that was given is like a coconut. There's the covering, the hard covering, the husk, the shell, the meat, and you're there, died. And you think you're great. You cannot get out of that place, that situation, except if somebody picks you up. And that person is none other than God. He comes as the sound. So all what we have to do to succeed is to chant the holy names of God. And when we say chant the holy names of God, it is affirmed and confirmed by all the scripture, even in the Bible, especially in the teachings of Lord Chaitanya. O Lord, save me by thy name. I will sing and praise your name. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. So, what have we done? We have polluted the place wherein Krishna can stay, our heart. We have contaminated it with lust, envy, and greed due to our activities of meditating upon this world driven by lust. So the more we think we're moving forward, the more we sink. So what is the solution then? It is the third prayer of Lord Chaitanya. The third prayer of Lord Chaitanya is, one can chant the holy names of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking himself lower than the straw in the street, more tolerant than the tree, and devoid of all sense of false prestige, and ready to offer all respects to others. So when one chants the holy names, one experiences this benediction to be aware of his situation, that he's lost. He's blind. Not blind just by the eyes, You can be blind physically, but you are seeing with your spiritual vision because of the wisdom that you have heard from your spiritual master. You have a connection. Anyone who is blinded by lust is blind. And instead of, they think they're moving forward to success, and they endeavor for success in their anticipation, they're blinded by a force, lust, and they're all going directly towards this sinkhole, this quagmire, this quicksand, and they think they're moving forward. That's why they experience the pain of being separated from what they think as security. Because of the false ego, extended false ego. So, the wisdom that comes from our spiritual master in Krishna protects us because now our heart, we can purify it and it can be the shelter, our life, our soul, Krishna. So, how do we achieve that? By chanting the holy names. So, it's stated in the Bible, in scripture by Lord Chaitanya, Harinama eva kebalam, kolowa nasteba gatiranyata. In this age of Kali Yuga, there is no alternative, there is no alternative, there is no alternative. No way except to be sheltered, to be protected by God. So He comes as the holy names. He descends. God, the transcendental incarnation, the sound coming from Lord Chaitanya, who is Krishna Himself. So He purifies us. All what we have to do is embrace the holy names, chant the holy names. And then if we make progress, it means we are following the process very carefully and sincerely. But if you're not sincere, what will happen? You may be chanting, but how come you're not making progress? How come you're so disturbed? What happens is this, like this, to make it very clear to you. It's not anymore the problem that everybody faces are the material desires in the mind. They call it tukso, they call it demonyo, okay? Utos ng demonyo. But when you are aware of your true identity, you're guided by this transcendental protection, sheltered, you transcend the three modes of material nature. So, the living entity, you who are making progress in your chanting, you will just be watching the mind. The desire in the mind, innumerable desire, because of the experience for search of happiness that you have experienced previously, and now through your senses, you're looking at it. But look carefully. The science of transformation of energy, everything that you see with your eyes, they're all undergoing transformation. Just for example, okay, Gor, Mami, look at the wood, okay? That wood, previously, the tree, now is the wood. And after a while, the termites will eat it. So if you look closely, even what we think as security and shelter, okay, the stone, okay, due to it breaks down because of the influence of Mother Nature, the acid, it breaks down. And if you look closely, the metal, there is oxidation. You know what's oxidation? The metal, there's rust. The influence of oxidation, the metal like this, then after a while, it's getting rusty, and then it falls down until the metal and the element that's making up this metal breaks down and turn into another form. But you cannot see that when you are driven by a force, and that force is lust. And what is that all about? It is your anger. Now, you are not able to relate to sweet Lord Krishna. Because the only way you have to relate with Lord Krishna is with this transcendental, unconditional love, not touched by lust. Because Lord Krishna is very sweet, very gentle. If you decide in your life, I don't want to serve Krishna, then Krishna is God. Because that is not the process. The process is the third prayer, when you're feeling humbleness in your heart. And if you are chanting the holy names and experiencing the third prayer of Lord Chaitanya, you'll make progress in your spiritual life. Your material desires diminish. Your attraction to this world diminish. Your longing now is the prayer you chant every day. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishna Nayanya. I worship Lord Chaitanya in the mood of Radha and Krishna. the Supreme Enjoyer, Lord Krishna, is inviting us to enter that world of a relationship of longing for God. So while we're in this planet, in this body, we are engaged in our daily activities, but the consciousness now is connected with the source of happiness. So every day, you check if you're making progress. But if after sometimes you've been chanting, you've been exposed to this wisdom, and you're not attracted to what is sweet, a connection of what you're longing for in your heart, and you're directed by the desire in the mind, then you will not be able to appreciate. And when you relate to the devotee of God, you must also be aware that the relationship must be based upon how you relate to God. So the teachings of Lord Jesus Christ is directly connected with that. Love the Supreme Person with thy whole heart, thy whole mind, thy whole being. And second unto that is love your neighbors and brothers as you love yourself. It becomes natural. When you're loving someone, you'll be loving those who are very close to Him. And all the living entities here in different bodies who are struggling, blind, you begin to have affection for them. And you begin to make effort to assist them. So the only way you can come to that point is when you're pleasing to the devotee of God. And how to be pleasing to the devotee of God? We must make progress towards loving and pleasing the person he loves. So it's a relationship. So that's the science of Bhakti Yoga. Association is very important. So I read here the teachings of Narottama Das Thakur. He prays, I worship Lord Shri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, whose nectarian mercy flows like a great river, inundating the entire universe. Just as a river flows downstream, Lord Chaitanya especially extends himself to the fallen. So when you are experiencing this third prayer, you fall down, okay? That is the reason you offer obeisances to Krishna. You don't offer obeisances to the wall, to the floor. No. It is a relationship that when you bow down in obeisances, you're offering your life to God. Please let me serve and love you. Let me be pleasing to you. Yun ang offering ng obeisances. So you're not concerned about this world. Because now you can see. Nobody sees you. They're all blind. So you feel, oh, nakakahiya naman to bow down. They don't even see you. You understand? With their eyes, they don't see you. They just see the form. Okay? Nakakahiya. Kaya when you come, you're really immersed in the third prayer of Lord Chaitanya, then your progress in loving Krishna becomes very close. Because at that time, you can fall down. Krishna, protect me. Love me. I want to serve and love you. Okay? So it means your association now is with the transcendental world of loving relationship that our spiritual master is guiding us. Complete surrender in humbleness and sweetness. Krishna, please let me serve you and love you. And you feel humbleness in your heart that you are not qualified. You're sinful. The devotee of God is feeling lower than the street. So when Lord Chaitanya was asked, who are you? Are you a sannyasi? Are you a brahmana? Who are you? Okay? Are you a devotee? Lord Chaitanya said, I'm eternally the loving servant 100 times, the servant of the devotee of Krishna. So, spiritual life is not what the materialistic person is trying to prove to move on forward. It is a situation wherein you are feeling this humbleness in your heart that you need someone to protect you, Krishna. So the process that we do engage in how to be purified. It's Krishna himself will purify you. So when in your heart, in sincerity, you want to serve Krishna, Krishna see it. Krishna knows it. Your Gurudev blesses you. So the more you chant, you make progress. Because Krishna, the Supreme Person, will be the one who is very pleased about your surrender, and he will be protecting you. So no need to fear and worry how you can be saved. Because Krishna will be the one to save you and protect you. Because it's about your life, your happiness in rendering pleasure to him. That is a relationship that we must be very focused, and in our life should be our meditation. So here I'll read to you before we part ways, okay? The prayer of the devotee, okay? Narottamadas Thakura has sung. He prays for Lord Chaitanya's mercy because he is mercy incarnation. So Lord Chaitanya, siya yung pinakamaluluyon. He comes down, non-different from the holy names. He's bringing the holy names. For us who are all blind, who are all in this quagmire, in this sinkhole, not able to move. Just like my spiritual master, he gives an example. There's this honeybee flying, then there's something that happened. She drops in the water. So she's just floating there. She cannot move. She cannot fly. So the spiritual master sees that and picks up this honeybee and dries up the honeybee so she can fly. So with the wisdom that is given to us, it's like that. All what we have to do is receive it. Is it clear? Okay. The more fallen one is, the greater claim to the favor of Lord Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. One must only be sincere and serious. Krishna knows your heart. You cannot, alam mo yung duplicity? You say yes, but no. You say yes, pero no. It's a game you play. It's like you're an actor. Okay? You see but the spiritual master sees you. Here, nobody sees you. They see your body through the eye, with a gross eye. But the spiritual master sees you because he knows your heart. So when you are making progress, you are feeling lower than the straw in the street, and sincerely you take shelter of the holy names. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh my Lord, please kindly engage me in your loving service. And you have this consciousness of feeling lower than the straw in the street. You experience, you fall far short. You're not qualified. But you continuously engage in service, following the instruction of the saintly person. Then you're progressing. They say, oh, you're moving backwards. No, everybody's really not moving forward. They're sinking. Those who are chanting the holy names of Krishna, they're given the opportunity to see light. When there is light, there is clarity. Not clarity of the eyes. The clarity based upon our eternal, absolute, transcendental nature as eternally joyful. You're eternally joyful, happy. But happiness connected with this body is a source of suffering. It's very clear. But how come we cannot move on? We need the blessing, the protection of Lord Chaitanya. That's why if you chant the holy names, the spiritual doctor, the person who's blind, can now see because he will be able to listen to the transcendental medicine that he can see. And then he can hear. He can walk in this dark world with clarity. And that clarity is based upon the transcendental shelter and protection of God's embrace, His mercy, His love. The Supreme Person loves us. So when you come in contact with Him through the chanting, it changes, it purifies your heart. You experience in your heart the sweetness of being loved. But if your focus is following the dictates of the mind, you will not experience that. You will be desire-driven. And when a person is desire-driven, he's very lusty, he's very angry and frustrated. You are lost because you will lose your intelligence. You don't have intelligence actually. So ignorance is the path for misery when you're ignorant. Because if you're ignorant, even though you say, I don't know, you touch the fire, you get burned. The blind cannot lead the blind. So, when you chant the holy names, it touches you to the core of your heart. Then you see. You begin to, this world becomes distasteful, but you know it's Krishna's energy. Now, Krishna's mercy through the association of his pure devotees were given the process. How we can engage this material body, this material energy to please God. Very simple. You're always looking and seeing through the eye, and you see material energy. But now, God descends through the spiritual master, the deity. The sound you hear, tok, tok, tick, tok, tok, tok. Now, the sound is transcendental, live. And it comes from the lips of Krishna, God himself, descending as the holy names. You always want to go to barn dance, anywhere you're traveling in this dead world, in this universe. Now, you're given the opportunity to be in an environment wherein you can dance and sing and chant and hear the holy names through the association of the Sankirtan. So it's all about Krishna's love and affection for us. But we run from it. Okay? We hesitate, because of the influence of the three modes of material nature and the disease of materialism and false ego. So it must be cut off with the words that is absolute, the transcendental wisdom of our true identity and awareness. And that awareness, we become so much focused upon this gentleness, this sweetness of receiving God's love. That how sweet He is, Krishna. Okay? My 5 minutes now. The Lord will surely and certainly deliver him. Despite being contaminated by all bad qualities of this Kali Yuga. The Kali Yuga means the age of quarrel and confusion. Look at FB now. It's now near election time, seven months to go. But everybody's fighting with one another, The words, the sound that comes out of their mouth, everything that they do, it's all about combative, it's about fighting who's the best. It's about arrogance. Nobody will tell, I'm lost. Everyone, what are they trying to tell all of us? I will protect you. I will give you economic development. I will be the guiding principle to alleviate us from poverty. He will lead us. And the other guy, no, it's me who's greater than you. No, I'm the best. So what do? They throw like squid tactics, Everybody like crab mentality trying to pull everyone down. No, he's dirty. I am pure. He's dirty. I am pure. And those individuals who are trying to get on top of the shit pile, they experience all the pain. Because while they're trying to climb, everybody's throwing shit at them. And then when they reach the top, they're covered with shit. Better to feel lower than the straw in the street. Despite being contaminated by all bad qualities of this Kali Yuga, if one surrenders unto the lotus feet of Shri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Lord will surely and certainly deliver him. The best example is Jagad and Madai. In this age of Kali, practically everyone is like Jagad and Madai. But the Sankirtan movement, inaugurated by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, is still flowing like a great river, inundating the entire world, and thus the International Society for Krishna Consciousness is successful in claiming the fallen souls to free them from contamination. So, we have been here for so long, contaminated, so much toxic. But if we come in contact with the Supreme Purifier, then we'll become free from this toxic experience of the pain of this world, because it will be the happiness of you, life. Look at everybody else. What are your focus and goal? It's about this dead world. It's about the pain of this world. So don't ever grumble or complain. I'm suffering and blame others. No. You're in a situation wherein that is not our natural world, the world of pain and suffering. Kaya lahat tayo na nandito with our goal in life, you should not grumble and complain, because everybody's complaining. Even those who wanted to lead us, they're all complaining. They're fighting with one another. That is the influence of Kali Yuga. We must transcend this material world wherein we can go inside, within our heart, by hearing this transcendental sound, the sweetness of experiencing a connection with the source of happiness, sweet Krishna, and through listening transcendental pastimes of the Supreme Person, our mind will become purified. It satisfies the heart, because now we have this shelter that cannot be taken away from us, because that is our life. So while we're in this world, we are in this complete transcendental world of humbleness and receiving God's mercy. Nobody can take that away from you. So while we're here now, continuing our struggle, while we're in this body, you have to take care of your body, because you have children, you have to help them. But now the direction will be a direction for what will protect them. Okay? So you carry on with what you're doing, but with this wisdom side by side. You don't need to leave anything, but we can succeed side by side with the guidance of those saintly person who loves us eternally, who are always with us, wishing us well. They come here to pick us up. So we're drowning, we're blind. So all what they have to do is hold their hand. And how do we hold their hand? By listening. And that listening connects us with this God's love and shelter that touches our heart. Our meditation now is connected with God's pleasure. So the more you make progress, in the beginning, you have attraction. You chant Krishna, Krishna, and then it becomes sweet, and it becomes sweeter and sweeter and sweeter. That becomes your life. You are not anymore touched by this world. And the main formula is because you can fall down and take shelter of the holy names and Krishna, guided by someone who loves you eternally, the devotee of God. Is it clear? You have any question? So instead of fighting, dealing with Krishna, the spiritual master, being defensive, resisting, what you should do is sit down and ask yourself, where am I heading? What do I really have? In a true sense, what is valuable to you is your relationship with God, because you're going to leave everything behind. So instead of trying to resist and move forward by trying to deal with sweet Lord Krishna, in duplicity, in hardness, we must experience this humility. And this humility comes from an experience of purification of the heart. When we're feeling lower than the straw in the street, we're feeling we're not devotees. We're feeling we're away from God. Okay? Is it clear? You are not anymore attracted to liberation. What is liberation? To become free from what? Not experiencing pain, but there will always be a longing or activity that is inseparable from us. Activities that we should be engaging in. Embracing Krishna, playing with Lord Krishna. Is it clear? So let's continue our discussion tomorrow. So I do hope you become aware where you're heading and ask, who is influencing me? Who are my associates? Is it helping me? Where am I heading? Okay. What activities I'm engaging in? Is it beneficial for me? And it will be my success, or it will be a disconnection from what I should be engaging in and be directed upon what Lord Chaitanya came for, to save the most fallen. But if you think you're not the most fallen, you think you're higher, then you cannot fall down. Because you're like a balloon, you'll be driven by the clouds, wherever the clouds, or the air that forces the clouds to go. The three modes of material nature, driven by the desire, a misdirection of our service to God. Haribol Namaste.
Everybody sing and dance. Haribol. Let's stand for Lord Chaitanya. Make Lord Chaitanya smile and our spiritual master. Haribol. Namo Siddhaswarupananda, Paramahamsa namine, Gora Karuna Swarupaya, Radha Krishna Krsna. Hello!
Namo Siddhaswarupananda, Paramahamsa namine, Gora Karuna Swarupaya, Radha Krishna Prasthayate.
Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Caitanya, Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Caitanya.
Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Caitanya, Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Caitanya.
Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhara, Shri Vasudeva Bhakta-vrinda.
Bhaja Shri Krishna
Oh,
Chaitanya,
Nitai Gaur, Haribol.
Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita
Haribol, Haribol.
Vasudeva Bhakta-vrinda.
Gopala Govinda Rama,
Haribol Krishna,
Madana Mohana,
Haribol Krishna,
Gopala Govinda Rama,
Haribol Krishna,
Madana Mohana.
Mohana Govinda, Haribol Krishna, Mohana Govinda Rama,
Oh, Krishna.
Madana Mohana,
Gopala Govinda Rama,
Haribol Krishna,
Madana Mohana,
Haribol Krishna,
Gopala Govinda Rama,
Haribol Krishna,
Madana Mohana.
Mohana Govinda Rama,
Haribol,
Mohana Govinda Rama,
Haribol.
Madana Mohana,
Gopala Govinda Rama,
Haribol Krishna,
Madana Mohana,
Haribol Krishna,
Gopala Govinda Rama,
Krishna,
Madana Mohana.
Mohana Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana, Mohana Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana,
Gopala Govinda Rama,
Haribol Krishna,
Madana Mohana.
Siddhaswarupananda, Paramahamsa Devotee, Gora Karuna Swarupaya, Radha Krishna Prestaya Te.